Let's start with President Obama's comeback. Lynn Sweet is the Washington bureau chief for the Chicago Sun-Times, and David Corn is the Washington bureau chief for Mother Jones. Now, that's a liberal magazine, isn't it?
A little bit.
Okay, let's talk now about this year. The president in his victory lap, his press conference last night. Let's take a look here at the comments he's made over time. Well, let's look at the press conference yesterday. Here's yesterday. Let's listen to the press conference. Start with just yesterday.
I think it's fair to say that this has been the most productive post-election period we've had in decades. And it comes on the heels of the most productive 2 years that we've had in generations.
Well, it ain't so lame, was it?
No, not at all. He had a terrific lame duck legislative session. And when you look at the 2 years of congressional achievements, he has done a lot. He was entitled to brag, as you pointed out.
What happened to the Republicans? They sort of hit the goal line and then dropped dead. What did they come in? Was it hubris, the classic problem of life, thinking you're bigger than you are?
Well, I think what happened was it was a good set of issues for the president. It was after the election. You had a couple of Republicans in the Senate who were leaving. That helped. And you had a few guys who I think might have gotten fed up with the no, no, no of the past 2 years. Now, these were kind of veteran Republicans by and large.
Voinovich.
You know, Voinovich, Lamar Alexander, people who actually used to be governors and used to care about legislating.
Grown-ups.
You know, for the last 2 years.
That's my favorite line, by the way. Grown-ups.
Grown-ups.
In other words, they read the bills, they think they've been there before,
and
they put it in context.
And they believe that they were sent to Washington to work on problems, not just say no, 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 and then politically exploit it. Now, they will reap the benefits of the Mitch McConnell, John Boehner strategy that won the election for the Republicans in the House and gained seats in the Senate. But I think some of them just wanted to do the job that they're supposed to do, which is legislate and work on issues. And Obama found them in a sweet spot.
You also had the newly independent, it seems, Lisa Murkowski of Alaska, who threw in a few of those key votes with the usual moderate coalition, and that now will be interesting to see what role she carves out for herself.
A lady of the Midwest have raised a very important geographic fact. If you look at the votes the last couple of days, actually, the Republicans west of, say, Tennessee, right across the country, with the exception of Alaska up there, all voted against START. Are they all out west of where you cover for Chicago, scared to dickens? Time of year you can say that, scared to dickens of the Tea Partiers? Is that why Orrin Hatch is off base all the time? Reasonable people like Enzi off base all the time. Is it because they're all afraid of getting licked like Bob Bennett and almost licked like Murkowski?
Well, maybe yes, maybe no. Even though Dick Lugar's from Indiana, who is seen by most people as a conservatives, he may have a threat from the Tea Party. So I don't know. I think it's situational right now.
Why is everybody out west scared to death? I mean, you try this. Scared to death out west. They won't vote for anything but what Mitch tells them to vote for.
But I think on the START treaty, that was not a Tea Party issue per se. The Tea Party people are not that concerned with foreign policy, and they're at the top of their list. As you get into next year, what are the big fights going to be? The continuing resolution up in March, raising the debt ceiling, and Obama's budget, which will drop, I guess, sometime in February. Those are issues where the Tea Party will again start feeling its oats.
Can't wait to see State of the Union. I can't wait to see how the president cuts it. Let me suggest something to you. America has among our population, including our leaders, some discerning individuals. Remember how we all looked at the Tea Party and laughed at some of the crazies in the Tea Party?
Sure, still do.
They didn't get elected. Most of them didn't get elected. O'Donnell didn't get elected up there in Delaware. Engel didn't get elected out west. Ken Buck got beaten out there. There was one exception down there, the guy who won down in Florida. But generally, Scott, whatever his name was down there, Rick Scott. But generally, they got blown away. Most of the crazies got beaten.
But you still have people there. I think it'll be fascinating to watch what Rand Paul does once he's in the Senate.
He's not crazy. He's ideological.
No, right. But he has. So there are people. But I think that most of the
voters seem to tell the difference between right wing and crazy.
Most of the action is going to be in the House.
Yes.
Yeah. That is the whole point.
That's
where you have the repeal and defund crowd. That's where you have people. Well, you have people that have to be elected in 2 years that don't have the ability to wait out.
The Tea Party did better in the House than the Senate. You know, Michelle Bachmann is going to have a big Tea Party.
Did I say Looney? Within 13 seconds, you said Michelle Bachmann.
Well, you can make the association, Chris. But she leads the Tea Party caucus. So it's going to be a big
She's
caucus.
An isotope. The minute when the Loonies arrived there for the Tea Party in the House, they did get by. Some of them, they went right to her office. They went right to home base. A new poll shows President Obama getting credit. And here's the voters' discernment for the accomplishments achieved during the lame duck session. Look at this number here. After getting a shellacking, as he called it, in the election. 56% of the people across the country approve of the president's handling of issues during this election, post-election period. But both Republicans and Democrats in the Congress, as members of Congress, got big above majority disapproval numbers. In other words, the president's up at 56, but that's about where the negatives are for the Congress in both parties.
Yeah, well, it also means that you can't look at this, just in the week-by-week way we often do with Obama. He's up, he's down. Now everybody's saying what a great year he's having if you don't count the
No, actually, the public
November.
was asked, how did he do since the election?
Okay, but that's my point. It's just every few weeks you're going to take a
Well, he
temperature
has
and
done
get it
better.
ready. But
Again, discernment. The voters are watching.
Let's go back.
That's the whole point.
Yeah.
People are paying attention, but the numbers could change depending on what happens, and he got stuff done.
Let's go back to your favorite word, grown up. I believe Obama won largely because when the economy imploded in September 2008, he looked like the grown-up in the room, and John McCain looked actually like the kid who didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
I think in the last few weeks, in terms of governing, whether it was initiating the tax cut deal, getting start through, don't ask, don't tell, he looks like he's here working hard for you and being the grown-up. Mitch McConnell has given interviews the past few days in which he says, it's going to be no. He's going to have to come our way. I think right now Obama looks like he's the reasonable man in Washington getting results. That may be hard to do once there's a Republican House, but if he can continue to do that, it's good for him.
Take your ideological hat off for a second.
Just for
a second, and you would never have one on. What's John McCain's story right now?
Well,
he's like the Grinch.
He's grumpy. He had a hard time in trying to fight off Don't Ask, Don't Tell. He couldn't get a group together to stop it.
His wife's fighting him over this.
Well, he just isn't the John McCain of years past. This is not a revelation. I think the fight he had in his Arizona primary just left him indelibly for the time changing in course.
You know, what's odd about that is, he moved far to the right to put off that primary challenge from J.D. Hayworth, but he won. He has 6 years now to his next election if he's going to even run again. So you think he'd have some more latitude to go back towards the John McCain that Washington used to love, which was really a long time ago, before the last campaign. And he just seems to be getting crankier and crankier. He's making Mr. Wilson and Dennis the Menace look like a nun.
Hey, Mr. Wilson, get off my lawn, Dennis.
Exactly.
Let me. It's like St. Obama. Hey, kid, get off my lawn.
That's my lawn.
Because we just had to deal with two issues that he was identified with. Remember, just a few weeks ago on immigration, he was the guy working with Ted Kennedy, and he was the guy who went to
Last question. We're going to have fun on this Thursday before the holiday. Here it is. A friend of mine in Florida is a smart guy. Mark Johnson calls me up. He emails me. We all have smart people to email us. And he said, do you notice all this stuff is passing, all this success of the president, ever since Rahm Emanuel's gone? I dare you. Touch this. The next mayor of Chicago. Has Pete Rouse done a really good job replacing Rahm the last couple months, perhaps even better than Rahm could have done with his edginess and his toughness?
I think the results speak for themselves. That Rouse has done a good job.
What about Rahm? Are we better off without him? You guys you're so afraid. He's so proud. He's going to be mayor of your city. Come on.
No. So
I'm just asking.
Here's the thing. The point is that no one is indispensable, including Rahm. The Obama administration went on to great success.
Okay, I'm putting the ball in your court now. Rahm, was he better off moving to Chicago? Looks like he's going to get that job. He's in place. He's been accepted as a Chicagoan. He's on the ballot. Nobody really faced him, can beat him.
Remember when he left, there was all this talk about how he was abandoning Obama in his moment of need? Well, it turns out maybe Obama needed him to go. I mean, Pete Rouse, I think, has done a bang-up job. Yeah. They talked about this being a possibly temporary appointment. It looks like he's earned his wings the past couple of weeks.
What was it? Was it de Gaulle, the greatest man in French history, said, "Après moi, le deluge."
Yes.
There's no deluge, except in California right now. Yeah. What do you make of it? See, you guys, last point. Is he better off without Rahm?
Probably, because Rahm wanted to go, and Rahm not being where he didn't want to be.
He's doing much better now.
Soft landing.
No, much better now.
Because Rahm wanted to go.
Yeah. No, I'm saying he's doing much better now.
Hey, look, I'm not taking anything. I think Rahm's going to be a great mayor of Chicago.
He still has some.
Let's go. Hey, sweet. Thank you, David Corn. Have a happy holiday.